What is up, my peepholes? This is your guy, Cly, and welcome back to That Thrifting Series. Now, it's not every day I get to interconnect an episode of Budget Buys with That Thrifting Series, but I think this week I actually managed to pull it off. Whereas last week I was talking about microphones and the storage thereof, this week I'm going to be talking about microphones and the acquisition thereof, as well as a few other pieces of audio gear. Let's start things off with one of the latest additions to my microphone collection, and that is the AudioTechnica ATR20. Now, unlike the AT2020 that I was talking about last week, this is a dynamic microphone instead of a condenser microphone. All that really means is this doesn't need an external source of power to work, which is actually quite useful in certain respects because that also means it's not going to pick up everything in the room. That means I could actually use this in a situation where it might be a little bit too loud for the AT2020 because, from my experience, microphones like that can hear a grasshopper fart 3 yards away. It's a lot of fun when you've got really noisy neighbors. Now, this is a little dynamic guy. It's great to have one of these as a backup, though I'm going to admit this is not the best dynamic in my collection. This was originally being sold as a vocals mic by AudioTechnica for about 40 bucks, and you can still get these for around 20 on the used market, but I lucked out and removed the price tag, of course. Sorry about that. But I lucked out and got this for $3. Well, not necessarily me. It was actually my girlfriend who spotted this. She was out thrifting at one of the stores by where she works and noticed the name because I don't shut up about audio gear. It's kind of what I do. I've become a little bit of an audiophile these days. But she recognized the brand, saw that it was only $3, picked it up for me, and I couldn't be happier. Speaking of dynamic mics, the next microphone I have is the Samson Q2U. While yes, this is a dynamic mic, just like the ATR20 I showed previously, it's also quite a bit different. Where the ATR20 had a built-in cable ending in a 3.5mm jack that fortunately the previous owner included a 1/4-inch adapter with, this one uses both XLR and USB. If you're wondering why it has a 3.5mm jack built in, that's because when this is hooked to a computer via USB, it becomes essentially an external sound card. So you can listen to everything going on your computer through this port right here, and it has built-in volume control for when you're using that feature. I think it's kind of handy. Now, in situations like I'm in right now where the refrigerator turned on behind me, a dynamic mic will not pick up that hum, unlike the condenser mic that I'm wearing right now. One thing though, I kind of paid a lot more for this than I did for the ATR20. I paid $3 for the ATR20, and for this little guy, I kind of paid $15. But hear me out. On the used market, the Q2U goes for about 20 bucks for just the microphone itself, so I already did squeak in a little bit under that. The microphone new is about 50 bucks. Just for the microphone. But I did not just get the microphone. Instead, what I ended up getting was the kit, which includes a 10-foot long XLR cable, a kind of mediocre mic stand, as well as some meh headphones. Oh, and while they kind of seem to have not gotten the audio recording software that was supposed to be included with this kit, I guess the previous owner kept it, they did include a DVD of The Mist in its place. So that's a thing that happened. Oh, and they kept the USB cable, because I'm never ever going to find a USB cable to fit this thing, right? This is actually the microphone that I'm going to be using as a backup on my podcast, because I will eventually have to record in an area that's a wee bit loud for a condenser mic, And the audio quality out of this is actually amazing for it to just be a little dynamic mic, even if I'm just using the USB port. So I'm actually pleased to have this thing, and I look forward to reviewing it. But for now, on to the next item. So while the headphones included with my Q2U are kind of crap, these definitely are not. What I have here is a set of Sennheiser HD201 headphones, and I paid nowhere near retail for these. I know I've mentioned it many times on my social media, and maybe I've mentioned it in a video before, but in my area, the thrift stores have a huge, I mean huge, blind spot when it comes to the brands Sennheiser and AudioTechnica. I got these for $2. The same store wants $40 for a pair of Beats that looked like they were curb stomped. I don't know what to say, to be perfectly honest. Best part is, these are about $40 on the used market right now. You can get new old stock for around $80, and these were over $100 when they first came out. And they sound great. These are my new walking headphones for winter time because I've mentioned before I'm prone to ear infections, so the headphones that I normally use during the warmer seasons aren't gonna cut it. I need something with full ear coverage, but I don't want to take my studio monitors or very nice Sennheiser headphones out, so these little relatively cheap beaters are definitely great for me to have. I've got one more set of headphones for you. I'll be right back. Alright, so I have another set of Sennheisers to show you because I keep finding these freaking things for under $5 a pop. In this case, for a pair of PXC 150 headphones. And these apparently have a bit of a collector's market going on because there's people trying to sell new old stock, which means it's still sealed but discontinued, for nearly $400. I'm not paying that. Though, based on the digging I've done, these were well over $100. I want to say around $120, or that could be a different pair, and these were actually the close to $200 pair. Either way, nowhere near $4. Oh, and that number is adjusted for inflation. The best part is that these are actually active noise canceling headphones. Well, I say they're active noise canceling. They may just be passive. Everything I've found just mentions, oh, it uses noise guard, which means it's got active noise canceling, but it really could just be that that's just the brand name that they continued over. The difference being that both versions of noise canceling in this respect utilize the principle of what's called anti-noise or counter-noise. I think it's anti-noise, which just means it's a frequency that it puts out to deaden the background noise for everything outside of the headphones. Modern ones actually have built-in microphones so they can change the modulation of the anti-noise, whereas I think these just have a set frequency they work on. I do know for a fact that they work on some form of anti-noise, and this isn't just a preamplifier to make everything louder inside, because I've actually turned this on while having no music playing, and all the background noise around me got a lot quieter. I'm not going to say it stopped, which is good because I don't want to not hear the environment when I'm walking near traffic. I'd rather hear the car coming at me, but it made a significant difference. That's enough gushing over headphones for now. I've got something only slightly related to audio tech. Next item. Alright, this is actually going to be a little tough to fit in frame. I have raised my camera as high as I can, zoomed out as much as possible, but it's still kind of big. And still covered in cat hair because I had to shoo the little dude off of it earlier today. So what you're looking at here is a case. Specifically, the case is the item I thrifted, not the item inside. This is a special case. This is a case I didn't think I was going to get my hands on for less than $40, and I paid $3. What I'm storing in here is a recent acquisition for my podcast. Ooh, I keep tempting fate with the bot demonetizing me for the first 24 hours, or at least marking me as not suitable for most advertisers for the first 24 hours, just like what happened last week. My experiment was a success after all. What I'm storing in here... Oh, and I dropped it. Fortunately, this is a padded case, and reinforced. That's the whole reason I got this thing, because I'm storing a mixer inside. Because recently I got a Behringer Q2U USB mixer to use for all of my various and sundry microphones, and it doesn't come with a case. It doesn't even come with a crappy microphone bag. It just comes as is, and I've been storing it in the box ever since. But now I have this baby. To give you an idea as to why I was so excited to see this, a dust cover for this would set me back 30 to 40 bucks, and that's just a soft piece of fabric to put over it. A slightly reinforced case like this goes for about 40 plus, but a case similar to the one that I showed you last week, that's going to cost me 120 roundabout. I'm actually really tempted in the near future to go to Harbor Freight and pick up the 3800 model of the watertight case I mentioned last week and make it fit this. But for now, I'm happy with my $3 purchase. Best part is the internal cavity is actually adjustable. This is held in with Velcro. It has enough room for my power cable, as well as a little zipper pouch for the USB cable. I'm in love. And I can't believe Goodwill, of all places, got a bona fide mixer case. It's not necessarily for this model mixer, but it's definitely for a mixer. And just there we go. I should also point out it's the same location where I picked up my Q2U, and I've seen them selling blue microphones as well. Blue is in the brand, not the color. Though they definitely wanted near retail for the blues. I'm thinking a DJ or some kind of content creator is donating stuff there, and I'm scoping it out. I hit it every week in hopes that I find something else like this, because I need another case for my next item. Speaking of my next item, alright, so there's a high chance that I've already included this in the thumbnail, and it may be the reason some of you clicked through on this video. So let's just get it out in front of the camera. What I have here is a Novation Launchpad that I picked up for a whopping $4. I'm still trying to figure out how I pulled this off. Well, I actually kind of know how I pulled this off. I'll tell you in a minute. But it exists. It's a thing that has happened, and some of you probably don't know why I'm so excited. So let me go ahead and pull this out of the box and start explaining. What we have here is effectively a little MIDI controller. Now, I've talked about a MIDI controller in the past with my M-Audio X Sessions Pro that I got for $3 a while back, but this operates quite differently. Where that is more of a DJ's control panel where you're able to crossfade, adjust your EQ and things of that nature, this is more for composition. Because each of these keys, depending on the program you're using, can actually be set to a myriad of different tones. In fact, I recently picked up a bundle on humblebundle.com that, well, the main reason I bought it was because I got Vegas Pro 14 for 20 bucks instead of 400, and it came with a crap ton of different sound pools that I can use to make pretty much anything on this little guy. As long as I wanted to sound like 80s music, and yeah, I kind of do, not gonna lie. But yeah, this is a thing that exists in my possession. I am so happy. The main reason I'm going to be using this, not gonna lie, is to actually make a soundboard for my podcast. That way, if something happens and I want an audio cue, boop, audio cue happens. If I want to capture a small snippet of the episode and remix it just to annoy whichever guest that I'm interviewing at the time, well, I just hit a couple of those, and I've got software that does the rest. It's going to be a lot of fun, not gonna lie. Now, to give you an idea as to how valuable this is, when this first came out, it was in the $400 to $600 range, by what I've found looking it up online. The miniature version of this sells for well over $100. The re-release of this, which includes another row of buttons here and I believe here, as well as full RGB on all of these, or is that the Pro version? The Pro version I actually think has all of those. There may be another re-release of this form factor that also includes the RGB. I could be getting things mixed up. Either way, that still sells for multiple hundreds of dollars. And I paid $4. I really apologize for getting so excited that I shake the camera. Oh, and it also came with the angled USB cable that's supposed to come with it, or at least I think that's supposed to come with it. It came with no documentation, and that was included in the box. Sadly, it also did not come with the version of Ableton this is supposed to come with, but fortunately, I did find a free program. Well, actually, the program was suggested to me by someone on our synthesizers on Reddit, the free program Loop Drop, and it works perfectly. All of the lights turn on the way they're supposed to. They do all three colors, the yellow, red, and green. I love it. Yeah, so I got a little bit scatterbrained and excited there. I'm so sorry. If you want to know how I found this, well, it was sitting in the board games of all places because the person that was pricing it thought this was an oversized version of the game Lights Out. You know, the one where you have lights pop up all over here and it's a puzzle game and somebody's honking. I don't know why they did that. But you're going to hit all of the different buttons in order to make the ones around it turn off or on, depending on the goal of the puzzle. Yeah, they thought that's what this was, and so they wanted $4. I found a really good board game next to it as well, so that was a good day. I'll talk about the board game later, maybe on my podcast. I've really set this up for yellow at the first day, haven't I? Oh well, I will deal with that when we get to it. Until next time, this is your guy, Cly, fawning over this piece of tech and signing off.